What is going on in the RV industry?
What kind of innovations, ideas, and inventions are coming your way that you'll absolutely want?
And what kind of gadgets are coming that you might as well ignore?
This week, we report back from an open house for RV dealers where the RV industry showed the newest RVs and RV gadgets.
We've got the highlights, the lowlights, and a scary ride this week on the StressLess Camping RV podcast.
Yep, you can find the StressLess Camping RV podcast at our home on the web, where you get RV tips, tricks, ideas, destinations, along with some great ways to save money on your RV adventure.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. I'm Peggy.
You are? Oh yeah, that's right.
That's how
I guess that makes it Tony.
And we are two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in a small trailer. Looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discuentos.
Yeah. So we're going to refer you, first of all, to episode 260. We put that episode together in like April or May, and we said, hey, what are the new trends for 2025?
Well, we did get a chance to go and meet with a few manufacturers and see what's kind of coming down the pike.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's worth it to go back and listen. We'll wait.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you back?
Or we'll put a link in the show notes.
We will put a link in the show notes, and you can go check it out. I think most of it pretty much held true, and we might kind of repeat some of the same things again. But I guess we want to refer you back there so that you know that we actually kind of know what we're talking about sometimes.
Or like a broken clock, we're right twice a day.
Right,
but
twice
anyway,
a day.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being right, we got to camp with Steve and Kathy.
That's
and
right.
They went to our friends ABC Upfitters and got a power package-like system. They got their Mastervolt power system installed in their travel trailer.
So instead of us telling you what they did, we asked them to tell you what they did.
Yeah.
And here's what they said.
We're here with Steve and Kathy Royce, and they just got a new ABC Upfit Mastervolt power system. So tell us how the experience was of working with ABC Upfitters.
The whole group, Stacy, Ben, Scott, Mike, Josh, they were amazing. They were amazing to work with. They sent us drawings of what this was going to look like, if it would be able to fit here. Totally impressed. Totally impressed.
Yeah, we had to decide how we were going to get it into the rig, and so we gave up the refrigerator that used to be here and a storage for the griddle that was over here. And so, but as soon as they saw it, and I sent them measurements because they didn't actually see it firsthand. I sent them pictures and measurements. Then they said, okay, that'll work. We think we can do just fine. And they did. And all of the installation, they had put a new wall on that side, but that was, other than that, they had just used what was already here. Yeah, so it was awesome.
And any regrets? How do you?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. After we got this home, we when we picked it up from them and did the tour of everything, we went and camped at Potato Creek in South Bend for a weekend. Even though I paid for electric, we weren't planning on plugging in electric. We get home and Steve says, I didn't ask you, do you have any regrets about doing this? I said, well, it's kind of a little late now. But no, I do not. I do not.
Are you interested in being like Steve and Kathy?
Yeah, having a system that it just works. Great solar and lithium from Mastervolt, who makes these systems for the marine industry where there's pretty much no tolerance for failure.
Right.
And right now we are operating on our own Mastervolt power
We are.
system.
We'll talk about this a little bit later, but we are hopping. We are staying at breweries across not a long stretch, but we're spreading it out as much as we can and staying at a bunch of different breweries that are Harvest hosts. And we are, of course, using our power package.
Yep.
So if you are interested in talking to ABC Upfitters, you can give them a call at 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225. 3225, or visit their shiny new website at abcupfitters.com.
So as Tony said, we did get to spend some time at the RV open house, dealer open house. This is not really a public, well, this is not at all a public event. It is for dealers to learn what's coming down the pike for the next year and see, I think, every single 2025 model that every single manufacturer has on their line.
So it was
so
an ocean
many
of RVs. It's crazy.
There was, I don't know how. I mean, I guess dealers kind of know what brands they're looking for and they focus there. And we didn't have that advantage. So we wanted to see everything. You can't see everything in 3 days.
We didn't see everything.
We did not see everything.
We wore our shoes out. We were pooped at the end of this 3-day thing. And we tried to see as many RVs as possible. This event is so big. It takes over the entire like an entire museum parking lot. It's huge.
Oh, two or three giant parking
There's
lots.
a manufacturing parking lot. There's individual manufacturers. It's enormous.
It's enormous.
So you can't really see it all, no matter what.
So what we tried to do was get a really good overview of kind of a lot of different things, because what we wanted to see was what's coming for 2025 that might be a little bit different. What are the trends? What are the new things? What are the, new exciting things? And what are the things that are like, I hope they get rid of that next year.
Yeah, we wanted to learn what's up.
What's up?
Oh, God.
So one of the things that Tony is super enamored by is there are a lot more in this coming year on every sort of rig, patios or porches or whatever you want to call them, like fold down outdoor patios.
Yeah, and some of these companies have done an exceptional job with this. We saw Keystone had a couple of examples out where the patio was all the way at the back of the RV, as you would expect, and when it's up, there's a big window there. When it's down, it's an open space, and we were pretty impressed with that.
Now that might make it sound like you step on the window.
No.
The patio is only half of the height of the wall, if that makes sense. When it's up, half of the height is wall and half is window. When it's down, half of that solid half is floor, and then the window half is like a wall, like a railing.
Yeah, it's like a glass wall.
Like a glass wall. So that was really, really clever.
We saw a few of those. We saw a couple of rigs where that fold-down patio with the glass was on the side of the rig, which really made sense, including a Sabre that just nailed how the Sabre, and I didn't get video of this, and I'm really sad, but the Sabre had this same fold-down patio, but with a sliding glass door, so when it was up, there was no disadvantage. When it was down, you got this side patio. So I thought that was pretty slick. The one on the back I really liked. And then there were a bunch of RVs that just had a permanent deck. Mm-hmm. There were quite a few travel trailers, fifth wheels, park models that had this like notched out permanent deck. It started last year with the Cherokee and their Timber Lodge, I think it's called, and we talked about it last year, and it's just spread like wildfire throughout the industry.
Now, what you're probably used to seeing this deck is as a ramp to bring your toys into a toy hauler, and that is certainly where it started. And then it was not just a ramp, but it held, you could hold it straight up, so it was a patio. And now, a great deal of the time, it has nothing to do with bringing a toy in. It just goes from up to out, but it doesn't even go down to the ground to make into a ramp. It's not even designed for that in a lot of these units. Now, a lot of where we saw those was also on a great number of destination trailers.
Yeah, so destination trailers are typically used at RV parks, where someone will buy one of these. They're usually pretty cumbersome to to drive or to haul, and oftentimes are hauled by a professional hauler. And they're usually placed at an RV park or on a piece of land or something. And once they get there, that's where they live. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these destination trailers are designed so you can put a patio deck. So a lot of them, the entryway is a sliding glass door.
Right.
And we saw a lot of these decks on those destination trailers.
So the cool thing about some of the destinations is almost all of them are like super tall and have a loft. So it's not really 2 stories, it's maybe 1.5 stories. And I climbed up into one of those lofts. Now, you don't have, there's a lot of them that are like stairwells, staircases rather than a ladder, which is good. I climbed a ladder too once, but anyway. I climbed up into a loft in a very narrow, kind of steep staircase, and then crawled over to the railing where it overlooked the rest of the trailer. I had to crawl because that's how tall it was. It's not a bedroom for adults unless you like to crawl around.
Yeah.
But if you have kids and if you have a property on the lake or something, you want to put this there, and then the kids have their loft and there was a separate bedroom and living space, and like Tony said, the patios, the decks, and the outdoor possibilities really open things up.
And something, so it was that these destination trailers were companies that specialized in destination trailers, and they're pretty enormous. Mm-hmm. Now some of them are as small as regular travel trailers, some are the same length as travel trailers but taller. So the variety of destination trailers, basically trailers that are kind of not that great to tow but great once they're there, is really expanding. And I wonder how much of this is because, as we know, there's a big housing shortage. Yeah. There's a big affordable housing shortage. And these destination trailers could be a great solution, especially if you do contract work and you're like in this state 1 month and the next state 6 months later and all that. This might be the best solution. And some are affordable, some of them are really premium. So the destination trailers were a big deal.
Yep. Let's talk kitchens. Let's talk cooking.
Yeah.
There were some trends that we noticed, or kitchens in general. We saw a lot, I'm going to say all, I'm going to say most of the refrigerators these days are 12-volt refrigerators.
Oh, I don't think we saw any propane fridges.
I don't think we saw any propane fridges. Some of those big giant units, of course, the big fifth wheels and the really big Class A motorhomes are probably still going residential, but frankly, I saw some enormous 12-volt refrigerators. So 12-volt is really the way it's going. I know that some of you had asked us to find out from manufacturers when they were going to stop doing that to us. I don't think they're going to stop doing that to us. No. I think that is the way that things are going. There is the opinion that the 12 volts are much cheaper and therefore way better for the manufacturers. I don't know that that's true. I do know that some people said, well, they should give you a choice. Well, here's the thing about a choice between a gas electric refrigerator and 12-volt refrigerator. Completely different wiring. The need for plumbing, the need for vents if you have an electric gas refrigerator. They can't build them to spec or to order without being a huge nightmare, right? Like they do the same thing over and over. If they had to, this one's this way, this one's that way, it would just be, I think it would really slow down production. Our prices would go up. So,
yeah, I think 12-volt fridges. And we spoke with somebody at Lippert. Lippert, again, big RV component manufacturer. And they were talking about, just in the past few years, the improvements in efficiency on the compressors of these 12-volt fridges. So they're here to stay, folks. I mean, don't expect the RV industry will go back to the propane electric fridges anytime soon. I guess within 2 or 3 years, they'll just no longer even make them. I could be wrong, but that's what we see. And we see these 12-volt, as Peggy said, these 12-volt fridges with all the fancy features and size of some more premium residential fridges.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just getting better and better and more efficient, and that's what's coming.
What's coming.
Well, also
our notes are looking kind of funny. But the other thing in the kitchen is the cooktops and the baking options. We saw. I'm not going to say it seems to be going this way, but especially I think in smaller rigs, like in the Class Bs and some Class Cs, we saw induction cooktops and not propane cooktops.
Yeah, propane cooktops is another thing that I'm seeing fewer of, especially, you're right, in an RV that might have a generator like a Class C or Class B, and definitely Class A's. There were a number of Class A's that had no propane aboard whatsoever.
Yeah. So that, of course, means you don't have a propane oven. Some of you are cheering right now because you hate your ovens, but I use my oven a lot, so I'm not ready to go that way. However, for the most part, if there was not an oven, there was a convection microwave. Now, I did see a couple of rigs that didn't have an oven, and it just had a regular microwave.
Yeah, well, what are they thinking?
I know. And I did see a convection microwave that was microscopic. I don't know what.
Oh,
bake like one muffin in that thing at a time.
Yeah, that was.
But I mean, they're trying, I guess, and it was a small rig, so it has a small amount of space. So you use what you can, but I think that, again, I don't think that propane is going away overall. But I think propane is going away in a lot of places.
Well, yeah, maybe. I did see a number of RVs that were, they were motorized, so they're either Bs or Cs, and they had diesel heaters, which has been available for years, but now smaller ones. And I even saw a couple that had gasoline-fired heat and water heat. And again, no propane aboard whatsoever. So, I don't know, propane, I wouldn't invest in the propane industry at the moment. I'm just saying.
Just wait it out and see what happens. So also, some of you had asked about mattresses. Could we get the RV industry to stop putting terrible mattresses? Well, it would really be a giant hassle. Again, this rig wants that mattress and that rig wants this mattress. And some people really like the junk, cheap, the thin and hard mattresses. Some people really like that really firm mattress. Don't have a problem with it. On our very first rig, we just put a topper. This rig, we now have a ghost mattress. Everybody's different. Even Tony and I have a hard time choosing one mattress that we both like. So imagine if they gave you all those choices. I just think it would be a nightmare for the manufacturers to try to figure out what goes in which rig. And I just don't see it ever happening. I'm sorry. You're just going to get that thin, hard mattress, and you're going to have to do with it what you will.
Now, we did know, we visited with the folks at Jayco, and they have very specifically stated that they've improved the mattresses across the board, and some of them we thought they were pretty comfortable, but you're in it for like 2 minutes or whatever.
Right.
Another solution we saw, which we've known about for years, is something called the Froley system. And what this is essentially it's plastic springs that go under the mattress. And the advantage of that is it raises the mattress, I don't know, what is it, like half inch
Maybe
or whatever,
an
inch, whatever. Yeah. So you get airflow, so you don't have a mold issue. These Froley plastic springs are available in a variety of firmnesses. So let's say you have a weird size mattress in your rig, you could accommodate that with one of these Froley systems.
So the system, I assume that when you get the box, it's really a box that's chock full of 4 by 4 inch square plastic spring things, and you put them together. So they have like little, hook, lock, tab and whatever slot, and then you put them together. So if you have a 60 by 80, you build it, 6 across by 8 long. That's not the right numbers, but anyway, you know what I mean. But if you have one of those mattresses that's cut off on the corner, you just don't put any Froley on that corner.
Right. Well, the other thing is they have various densities.
Yes.
So let's say you want your hips to have it softer, or you want your back, like you could have hard, soft, hard. So
Right.
you can really accommodate your own taste and use the mattress that came with your RV. And again, the fact that it's raised up off the platform means that it's not, there's airflow underneath. So we're very intrigued by this Froley system, and it's been around, and there are a few, like Winnebago has a few motorhomes that have it included. And I think that is really the solution, more than trying to accommodate all the different mattress.
Yes. Yeah.
And you could even have, on a mattress, let's say you have 2 people sleeping side by side, you could have a totally different spring profile on one side versus the other.
Correct.
So I'm thinking the Froley might be the way to
a good way
to
for
solve
it to
this.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we see in the air conditioning world?
Be still my heart. So we have talked about the Furrion Chill Cube in the past. In fact, we even got one to test, and our buddy Paul tested it for us because he could measure the electrical draw. The folks at ABC Upfitters have now upfit a few RVs with these Furrion Chill Cubes, and they are remarkably efficient. They're so much more efficient than the antiques that most of us have on the roofs of our RVs. They're also quiet. The temperature sensors in the remote, so if you bring the remote in the bedroom, that's where it prioritizes cooling. If you have it in the living room, it prioritizes cooling there. The one thing we have not, that has not been available on the Furrion Chill Cube line, is a ducted version. So if you have an RV that has ceiling vents like ours does, you're kind of out of luck, because the Furrion Chill Cube only worked with
what's called direct dump.
Dump.
It just came only out of the air conditioning unit itself. And that was the case with the one that we received, that we sent to Paul. Now, Paul actually needed to add it to his bedroom for a second air conditioner, because they were kind of forced into a very, 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 very warm situation.
Yeah, Arizona in the summertime.
Phoenix in the summertime.
Yeah.
And so now Furrion has at least started to release, I'm not sure how widely spread, but they now have the Chill Cube available as a ducted system.
Yeah, now don't go rushing out to your local Furrion dealer. It's right now just like only one container of these has arrived, and it's only for testing. It will eventually spread throughout the industry, because Furrion's owned by Lipper. So they've got their distribution down to a science, and it'll be in a lot of RVs. Again, I wouldn't invest in Coleman mock stock at this point, or GE air conditioner stock at this point.
But there's a couple other options too,
There
right?
are.
Yeah.
So also, our friends at Dometic introduced the FreshJet, and it is a very similar in performance air conditioner to the Furrion Chill Cube. So it's also remarkably efficient. It is basically a different way of, the compressor and the fan are two different motors. The compressor can run at various speeds. So it just really is a remarkably efficient and quiet system. They have a number of configurations, including some for big Class A's that are kind of long and thin, and then they have the typical travel trailer version that's more kind of square. So those are coming soon from Dometic. And by the way, all of these run on 120 volt, household power. Dometic can also be had as a 48 volt unit. So with all these new lithium power systems that we've seen, that might be at least something to consider. Depends on how your RV is wired.
Now, are all of these when they're readily available, are they really easy to just put in place? Because they all have that 14-inch hole in. They all require that 14-inch hole in the ceiling.
Yeah, and something Lippert told us about the chill cube. You know, typically you, like in a bedroom system, you wire in 110, but most RV air conditioners, well, a lot of RV air conditioners run with a thermostat on the wall, right? Well, you have to run wires, feed wires down to that thermostat. The chill cube, because it uses a wireless remote, it's only 110. So it's much simpler to wire too.
Okay.
And it's better functionality. It's like no downside.
Something I liked about that Dometic vent, and I don't remember if it was in the air conditioner part, but in their vent system.
Oh, that was the MaxAir vent.
The MaxAir. Okay, so their newer kind of system is if you ever have to replace that MaxAir vent, you have the shroud or the framing of that is permanent. So if you put in one and then you want to replace it, you don't have to take that framework loose from the roof and cause more holes in your ceiling and everything. That's a permanent thing that you can just plug and play other things in. I assume even an air conditioner.
I don't know that. But this Fresh Chat vent fan, or MaxAir 2, I think it's called, it from a manufacturing, this was a show from the manufacturers. So if you're building a bunch of RVs, you can buy the El Cheapo version of this Dometic fan system, which a lot of RV companies do. But then as an owner, you can pop out just the little fan system and pop in a high performance vent fan. But there's something more.
Yeah.
They provide a port in their fan so you could run wiring for solar, or you could run your Starlink dish cable, or whatever comes down the pike. So there's actually a couple of ports on the side of this, so you don't ever have to reseal around that thing if you want to swap it out. And it has these ports. It is just, yes.
Really smart.
Yeah, they really thought this through.
So for a few years, you have been talking about the Truma Aventa.
Yeah, and
I'm not going to say, and I want Tony to talk about the Truma Aventa, but the point that I want to make is there are becoming more and more choices. Now Dometic and Furrion, and it's not only Truma that makes something that actually makes sense in an RV, right?
Yeah.
It's becoming more of a thoughtfulness from the manufacturers.
RV air conditioners are finally coming into modern times, and I'm so happy about that, because that's always been the thing, right? With solar and lithium, people go, well, how long can you run your air conditioner? Well, the problem wasn't the solar and lithium, it was lousy air conditioners that are inefficient and loud, and just, they're terrible. And now they're not terrible anymore. And I as I said, if I were Coleman Mach, I would be scared. So
maybe Coleman's working on something too.
I would imagine they are, but don't ask them that at a seminar, because they
don't like it when you ask if they're doing something as innovative as someone else.
Yeah, boy, that makes them
Imagine
mad.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so the next big thing.
So we want to talk about suspensions?
We do.
So we're talking now about fifth wheels, right? Like big, heavy fifth wheels.
Yes, for the most part.
I don't know that there was a lot of suspension talk in the small trailer or the the drivables at all.
That was a couple of years ago when Kurt introduced their independent suspension, and there's been the torsion axle that Airstream and Rockwood and Flagstaff have used for years. So travel trailers have had good suspension options now for a few years, but
now it's a fifth wheel's turn.
Yeah, so we got to go. Now we have a separate video about fifth wheel suspensions, and we have a separate video about fifth wheel braking systems, both of which we experienced firsthand. But suffice to say,
there's some innovative new suspension systems.
Yeah.
There are kind of three that we learned about, right? The slipper spring suspension. I said it right that time.
Good job. Peggy's had trouble with that name.
Touring coil.
Right, touring coil.
A little bit of a tongue twister. And we actually got to, and then, there's the regular leaf spring kind of normal suspension. And so we got to go to a closed track and feel what those different suspensions felt like. And that was very eye-opening.
I mean, the difference between Kurt's touring coil suspension and even a better version of traditional leaf springs was night and day.
Yeah.
Watch that. We'll have links in the show notes, or if you're on our webpage, we will have the videos right there, where you can see. We videoed inside a trailer going down a track with a bunch of expansion joints, and just a remarkable difference in how these suspensions perform.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Let's step outside. Not right this moment. I meant in terms of looking at trends and things in the RV industry. There were a lot less swoops and a lot less swirls.
Hallelujah.
Tony has hated swoops and swirls for a long time and talked about it a lot. And, there's still a lot of graphics on the outside. Don't get me wrong. But they're very
tasteful.
Straight lines and angles and very geometric and a lot of scenery. There were a lot of tree lines and a lot of mountain ranges and a lot of, not just swoopy swirls.
It was as if all of a sudden someone in the RV industry decided, hey, let's do something tasteful for a change.
Let's straighten these lines out.
And it's funny because we're sitting here recording this at a Harvest Host, and the next rig over is a Carnival float. I mean, not really. It's big
not brand
Class
new.
A.
It's not brand new.
No.
It is. Well,
it's only a few months old.
It's not that swoopy, though. It's very angular.
It's a Carnival float.
But it's very angular. But, yeah, there's still a heck of a lot of graphics on those big Class A's. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, we saw also that fiberglass printing.
Oh, gosh.
That you really liked.
Something that I saw that was really unusual was there were two trailers where they actually printed directly on the fiberglass surface. So rather than it being stickers or paint, it's literally printed on. And I think they had a 10-year warranty on that, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
I think it was a 10-year warranty on that detail. But one of them looked like wood planks, and it was so realistic and beautiful, I had to go touch it. Another one was like this nature scene. Oh, it was so pretty.
Yeah, they're very pretty.
It was very tasteful and very unusual, and it's as if someone at the RV industry finally woke up in the graphics department. It was so refreshing to see. And this painted on, we'll put pictures of the painted on rig and of this the nature scene rig. I just loved them. But as Peggy said, the travel trailers, a lot of them, the actual paint scheme matched the structural lines like you've seen in the auto industry since the 1960s. I mean, they finally are making stuff that doesn't look like a Carnival float, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs. All right. Do you want to talk about the EV?
Yeah. So the last thing, I got to drive a prototype of Thor's new EV motorhome. It's an electric motorhome, and the way it works is kind of like a freight locomotive. So it's got It's got electric motors that actually drive the thing. That's what gives you the propulsion. And then there's an internal combustion engine that provides charging and some energy. So you can, with this Thor EV motorhome, plug it in and then just go on pure electric power if you want, if that's your thing. And of course there's solar panels. Those really, let's be honest, take so much energy to move a big box like this. The solar panels are more for once you're camping and what you can do there. Then let's say you get to the end of the range of the batteries. Well, a little 4-cylinder engine kicks on that's like a generator, and you just keep going. And Thor guesses that with the batteries and a full tank of gas, because it runs on gasoline, you can go about 500 miles, and then you just go to a gas station and put more gas in. You can also charge this at an EV charging station if that's your jam. You can charge it at the campground. So it's not, like a Tesla is an EV only, and that's its benefit. This is all things and allows you to take advantage of what works best at the time. So do you want to drive an EV motorhome? You can. Do you want to go 500 miles in a day, which, oh my gosh, my hind end would be,
I don't want to do that. I don't care how good the motorhome is.
But you can. So this was only a prototype, but I really enjoyed driving it, and it just makes sense. This thing, it's not like some pie in the sky weird, like you have to behave differently and hold your left leg in the air and tap the top of your head and maybe you'll magically do stuff. No, this is just, if you see 10 motorhomes on a sales lot and one of them is this EV, it would compete in convenience with all those other motorhomes. Now, when will it be here?
Who knows?
Because, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, Thor showed the Airstream's electric travel trailer. Haven't seen it.
That's still not out.
Right?
So, yeah.
Winnebago showed their electric Class B. Haven't seen it. So we got to talk to the guy responsible for this. Because it uses a chassis from a company called Harbinger, they actually make commercial vehicle chassis. So it's not some pie in the sky thing, but will it come to pass? I don't know, because right now electric vehicles are not selling as well as they have. But it was quick and it was fun to drive, and I like driving it, and I hope it comes to market because I think it makes sense.
Well, we said earlier that we are what I termed hopping. We are brew docking.
Oh yeah, brew docking. We came up with that term this week.
And what we are doing is, as we travel this week from Indiana to Iowa, which really isn't that far. We probably could have done it in one day.
Yeah,
but the
why?
fact is, we had like 5 days to kill before we had another reservation. And so I got on Harvest Hosts and I started looking at where the breweries are in a route that we could take, and not too far out of our way, but also that 80, 90, whatever it is between Indiana and Chicago. I wanted to avoid that at all costs. So we're kind of doing what I see as a smile.
Well, it's putting a smile on my face, that's for sure.
We left Shipshewana. We went to Knox, Indiana, and that's where we met up with Steve and Kathy.
Knox, Indiana.
At the 1056 Brewery.
Yep, that was really fun.
Was really fun. We had a
band.
great time. Well, a singer,
yeah, that's true. They had a musician there. And yeah, it was so fun to hang out with Steve and Kathy, and we enjoyed some good beers and a lot of laughs and Tenzi.
Yeah. No, Yam Slam. We also have a game called Tenzi, but we did not play that. We played Yam Slam.
I had 5 beers that day. I don't remember.
He doesn't know what he played. Right. So we got to spend the night there at 1056 Brewery, and then when we got up in the morning, and we all just kind of sat outside, like, what do we do now? And we sat around and talked so long that the brewery opened for lunch. So we went back in and had lunch before we headed out. Now we are at a place called Beans and Barley, I think it's called.
It is really nice.
It's beautiful. So they don't brew their own beer. As a couple, they have brewed their own beer, but they decided they were not going to be a brewery. They are a restaurant. They offer a fantastic selection, a giant selection of beers.
They're also a bakery and a coffee place.
Yes, and they're really open. Their restaurant hours are like 6 to 2, so they're for breakfast and lunch. They're not a dinner place. So we've already had our lunch. We'll figure out what we're going to have for dinner here in the camper, and then we'll be back in for breakfast.
Yeah, I had this brisket nachos type of thing.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yeah, I had meatball sliders. Everything was really delicious. So our whole trip this week then is we've got a couple more stops that we're going to make at different breweries, and we're just going to, enjoy hopping, brew docking, and then we will be in Amana Colonies for the Frogtoberfest with Forest River Owners Group, and then staying around for the next weekend for RV Miles Homecoming. So we'll be in Amana for like 10 or 11 days.
Yeah. So and then who knows? We're kicking around the idea of chasing down the Union Pacific big boy steam engines some more. So who knows?
Yeah. So anyway, that is a long way to tell you that Harvest Host is awesome.
It really is. Well, last night we were at last night? Yeah, last night we were at a farm.
Yeah.
That was good too, with the little piggies and horse. And
I unfortunately waited too long, and the breweries that were in that area got booked up, or I waited too late to make the request. So we didn't stay at a brewery last night, but frankly, we have beer in the fridge.
Yeah, we bought beer because
we don't need to be at a brewery, but the whole idea was like, let's just check out the breweries in the area. So that is what we are doing with Harvest Host. We love Harvest Host. You can love Harvest Host. You can get a discount on our website at StressLessCamping.com on the deals and discounts page. And check it out. If you want to go brew docking with us, which we are doing at the end of this trip, we're meeting up with Gary and Robin on our very last night. That's right. And we'll stay at one last brewery before we go home.
Yeah. Oh, man. What was it? Ben Franklin, was he the one who said, beer is proof that God loves us and
wants us to be
happy.
Yeah. Okay, so we haven't talked about a recipe in a while because we have not cooked in a good long time.
Yeah.
We've been eating.
Boy, that's true.
We ate at the event a lot of the time, and we went out a few times with Tony and Tina. We camped right next to them in Shipshewana, and now we're in breweries every night. So, but also, on the other hand, it's fall, y'all.
Yeah.
And I get to start eating pumpkin stuff. Not that I don't do that all year long, but now you have to eat pumpkin stuff.
Yeah, now it's more readily available.
And so I've probably shared this before, or maybe I haven't, but it's definitely on the website for pumpkin fluff. It's a really simple and pretty low carb. It's not low in fat necessarily. It's heavy cream and canned pumpkin, and I use a sugar substitute, monk fruit sugar, and it's just a really, and then it's a fluff, right? It's a mousse kind of stuff. So if it's still hot where you are, and I know it is, and you don't notice that it's fall, that's okay, because this fluff is a refrigerated dessert. But if it's fall and you're ready for pumpkin, here you go.
Yeah, it's a mousse. Oh, man. I'm silly.
You are silly.
Oh, boy. Hey, speaking of fall, have you checked your roof for leaks? Now, there's two ways of doing that. What we do, I always say, if you want to know the laziest way to accomplish a task, I'm your man.
Yeah.
I have a pole, and we put a camera on it and walk around and look at the roof fairly regularly, usually after we've been sitting for a while. And so we have this ongoing documentary, whatever. We have this ongoing video of our roof, so we know, oh, it's starting to look bad or whatever. But the proper way is to get up there on a ladder and look at it up close and personal. Be careful if you do that. But all these various seals on your RV, they all do need to be inspected regularly, because they're, even if your RV is brand new, they are not guaranteed the where they have the sealant. So do inspect it for leaks. now's a good time to do so. Some of you are sadly putting your RVs away for this season. Oh my God. So it's a really good time to get up there and look at, or do the camera trick. Whatever suits you, make sure that your roof ain't leaking.
That's right. So we haven't asked a question of the week in a while either, and that's because like 3 weeks ago we said, tell us what you want us to look for at open house, and we did that. And I'm not going to read you the questions because we've already been talking about it for whatever the last hour or so. So this week I do have a new question of the week, and it kind of harkens back to a few weeks ago when we did our, eating across America. And we were wondering if you might please share a favorite food that you have found in your travels. We cannot stay on a diet when we're in Indiana. We know that.
Nope.
But we've left Indiana, and it's time to start, after all these breweries and Oktoberfests. Okay, so when we get home next month,
after we weigh 8,000 pounds.
On our diet again. But if you would tell us when and how and what, and show some pictures of great food that you found, we'll try it.
Yeah, we will.
We're not that strict on our diet. We should be, but we're not.
But we're not. Or weigh in on the topic at our fun and friendly StressLess Campers podcast. StressLess Campers Facebook group. I don't know where I got podcast.
It used to be that.
Yeah.
You also, of course, know that, or might know that you can get a weekly newsletter once a week. Thursday morning, we send out a newsletter that says, hey, the podcast is ready to listen to or watch, and these are some other interesting RV news that we found during the week. And you can sign up for that if you haven't already on any page of the website at the bottom of the page. And then you will get these weekly newsletters. And sometimes we even have, things that we're able to give away. And you kind of have to be part of the newsletter team to learn about those things.
So, and you can find the show notes and pictures and links to a lot of these places at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com under the podcast tile. And this is episode 273. My word.
Yeah. Also on the website, StressLessCamping.com. Don't forget about our deals and discounts page for the best deals on things you need for your StressLess Camping adventure.
Right? And of course, we're in all the social places, but you can start at StressLessCamping.com and you can jump off to wherever you enjoy doing social things.
If you don't want to miss a future episode of the StressLess Camping podcast, you can sign up for free on any podcast catcher, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Absolutely. And of course, don't forget that if you leave a review, it helps others find the StressLess Camping podcast, and that helps us get even more and better discounts and deals. We got a 5-star review this week again, so thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And of course, you can also share articles on various social pages. People always ask questions, and if you can find the article at StressLessCamping.com and share it, it makes you look good and helps spread
us
the word.
A lot.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to the cars driving by. Sorry about that.
And the horse and buggies.
It's not very often that we actually get to, the timing is right to sit in a campground and record. So we did that this week. We appreciate it. And we hope that you have a great week and
StressLess Camping.